Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Star Wars Visions Volume 3 dropped this week on Disney+, introducing us to 9 new episodes from 9 different Japanese animation studios. In today's video, however, we're going to focus on what I think is my favorite of the new episodes, one that isn't a follow-up to previous entries, and that's Studio Q's The Song of Four Wings. With just a 17-minute runtime, this episode really surprised me, offering a unique blend of Japanese anime genres like mecha and magical girl shows and tokusatsu, all while paying homage to the rich world and mythology of Star Wars. I want to take a look at some of these references, and how the episode accomplishes its goal of blending anime genres and Star Wars mythology. So let's dive in. Before we start, I think it's important to understand where this episode is coming from. Project Studio Q is a Japanese animation studio founded relatively recently in 2017 by legendary anime director Hideaki Anno, best known as the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which happens to be my favorite anime series of all time. Studio Q specializes in 3D CG animation and was heavily involved in the animation for the Evangelion rebuild films. The episode's director, Hiroyasu Kobayashi, has previously worked on a lot of mecha series associated with Anno's work, like the Eva rebuilds, Darling in the Franxx, Gundam 00, and even the latest Gundam series G-Quux, which aired earlier this year. He seems to specialize in highly detailed, character-driven stories within the mecha genre, and his episode here for Star Wars Visions is no exception. How does Kobayashi's experience with mecha storytelling translate into Star Wars? Well, let's take a look. In the beginning of the episode, we're met with some opening text, which tells us that the Empire has landed near the pole of a snowy planet called Jotes, which puts a rebel base at risk for attack. While this episode borrows a lot of things from several different Star Wars stories, it's most clearly inspired by the first act of The Empire Strikes Back, where the Empire has dispatched forces on the planet Hoth, exposing the rebel base and forcing them to evacuate. We follow the episode's protagonist, named Crane, or as it's pronounced in the show, Kurane, who we learn is the princess of a royal family whose planet was destroyed by the Empire. Princess Crane is of course an obvious analog to Princess Leia, one of Star Wars' most iconic and important characters. Both of these characters represent one version of a timeless archetype that endures both in and out of Star Wars, a character who turns privilege and personal tragedy into service for a greater cause. Princess Crane's character and costume design, I think, is a standout piece of this episode. Her outfit seems like a combination of a few different outfits from Princess Leia, including her outfit on Hoth, the white dress from A New Hope, mixed with pieces of stormtrooper armor, and maybe a little bit of Mara Jade in there too, with the orange hair, cape, and goggles. Her blaster is also the same one Princess Leia uses in A New Hope, called a Defender Sporting Blaster Pistol. Crane is accompanied by her droid R9TR2, referred to as Tortu, which can kind of be thought of as perhaps the R2-D2 to Leia in the beginning of A New Hope, or even the Lola to young Leia in the Kenobi show. Tortu is amazingly animated with personality and quirk that all good droid sidekicks in Star Wars should have. He can also play Crane's music cassettes. Visions always knocks it out of the park with droid designs. R9TR2 is no exception. While Princess Crane is out on reconnaissance, she's contacted by a rebel admiral who warns her of not being careful enough to avoid Imperial detection. Though out of the blue, she spots a small village which looks recently attacked by the Empire, which they want to investigate for survivors. When entering one of the village homes, Crane and Tortu find an origami crane or bird with 4 wings. Honestly, this scene reminded me a little bit of the ending scene in Blade Runner, where Harrison Ford's character picks up an origami unicorn from off of the floor. I'm not really sure if this is a reference, but I thought I'd point it out. Crane follows the trail and hears a noise, where under the floor she discovers Woopus, a small creature who appears to be the sole survivor of the Imperial attack on the village. It turns out Woopus is the one who has made the origami crane or bird, in fact has made many of them, while they've been hiding away. These origami cranes are an interesting piece of symbolism in the episode, and perhaps most obviously connected to the title of the episode, Song of the Four Wings. Crane recognizes them as being an important symbol in Woopus' species, whose legends tell of these mythical birds that are guardian deities of their planet. She eventually gets Woopus to trust her, and tells them that, just like her, there must be a reason why he survived. Tortu detects Imperials nearby, and the 3 of them make their way outside, only to be confronted by a squad of snowtroopers. Crane engages the troopers, and one of them is knocked out by a rock, thrown by Whoopus, very similar to the way Ewoks attacked the stormtroopers on Endor. The three of them escape on Crane's speeder bike, and now on a frozen lake, they discover an Imperial mining transport, with definite design cues from the Jawa sandcrawler, almost like an Arctic or cold weather variant of a sandcrawler, maybe a snowcrawler if you will. They learn that the real reason the Empire has come to the planet is not to destroy the rebels, but to mine coaxium, located deep underground on the planet's poles. Crane alerts Admiral Kuisi, but before they can act, two Imperial walkers burst out from under the ice, and Crane is forced to fight them head on. These were the same walkers Crane remembers attacking and destroying her planet when she was a child. At one point, one of the walkers transforms, its hull revealing a series of mechanical arms that deploy seismic charges. Yes, those seismic charges from the Slave One. One of the seismic charges sends Crane, Tortu, and Whoopus flying off of the speeder, and in midair, Tortu switches to armor mode and transforms into a mechanical fighting suit that wraps around Crane and becomes almost like an X-Wing exosuit. This sequence was shown off in the Visions Volume 3 trailer and was the main reason why I was so excited for this episode in the first place. The transformation sequence is just fantastic, and follows several tropes from anime and other Japanese media, blending the genres of mecha, tokusatsu, and even magical girl transformations from popular series like Sailor Moon. Crane's flight suit systems are malfunctioning, and Tortu is shown trying to connect inside, just like BB-8 did in The Last Jedi, which I thought was a great touch. But their battle with the Empire here ends in a way that very much mirrors A New Hope, where, thanks to the help of Whoopus' force sensitivity, he is able to repair the flight suit systems, and Crane successfully makes a single shot into the reactor core of the Imperial snowcrawler, and blows it up. Here is where the episode really shines, and all of its influences and inspiration begin to really work and come together. You've got the mecha influence from the walkers and the speeder bike and the X-Wing exosuit, and the transformation of the user like in a tokusatsu or magical girl series. And just like many magical girl anime series, and arguably with Star Wars as well in the case of a character like Princess Leia, here the trope of a young girl in distress is circumvented by these characters demonstrating immense capability and courage in the face of danger. There's no one to bail out Crane and Whoopa here and rescue them. They do it all on their own. At the end of the episode, Crane, Tortu, and Whoopus are on Crane's ship. They've rendezvoused with the Rebel Alliance, planning to take Whoopus and the others to safety. And here again, Whoopus is playing with the cranes, moving them alongside the X-Wing, flying just outside the cockpit. Here we must wonder if the origami cranes, these symbols of a guardian deity to Whoopa's species, are actually meant to be X-Wings, powerful starfighters that maybe arrived overhead one day and protected Whoopus's people from certain destruction, and were since enshrined in their culture. It's like the real-life phenomena of cargo cults from World War II, where indigenous peoples living in remote parts of the Pacific Ocean witnessed warplanes flying overhead and built entire religious systems around these flying machines and technology they couldn't understand. Or perhaps the legend of the four-winged crane or bird foretold the rescue of Whoopus from a person or thing with four wings, which ended up coming true.
From a certain point of view.
Or perhaps both the four-winged birds and X-Wing starfighters, and even Crane and her droid's X-Wing suit for that matter, are symbolic of a mythical protective power that transcends the citizens of the galaxy completely. In another fashion, during the flashback sequences to Crane's childhood and her own planet's destruction, she looks up and sees X-Wings flying overhead, there to fight off the Imperial occupation. Her mother hands her a medallion with a bird symbol rising up to the sky. The ancient Jedi symbol during the Old Republic also depicts a starbird, acting as a symbol of the Jedi Order's commitment to peace and justice. In any case, I think the Song of Four Winds reminds us of the way that Star Wars itself has become a modern mythology, a system of beliefs and belonging that often goes beyond the aforementioned archetypes themselves. And the fact that these myths can be interpreted and reinterpreted over and over again across different times and different cultures, much like Star Wars here with the Visions Animation Initiative in the first place. For the nearly 50 years since A New Hope, Star Wars is a mythology that is constantly reinventing itself and reimagining the ways in which its lessons can be departed onto us. The Song of Four Winds is not a grandiose story. It's not an epic battle of two factions colliding for the fate of the galaxy, Rather, this episode is supposed to be an important reminder that every life matters, and being a survivor is a victory into itself, and the importance of the survivorship of symbols in history. Star Wars has had so many stories that focus on these small moments, these small victories, and small acts of kindness and resistance against forces of evil. That's what this episode does, and executes very well. Its charming and expressive character design and art style, coupled with its compelling reinterpretation of classic Star Wars mythology, makes this episode one of my personal favorites. It may not be able to compete with the popularity of The Duel, let's say, or The Ninth Jedi, but it's not trying to. It's doing its own thing, and in my opinion, a really valuable thing for Star Wars. If Visions continues, I hope to see more of these kinds of stories in the future. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing so you can stay in the loop on other videos and projects. I've had a great time watching Star Wars Visions, and I'm happy it's being well received. Let me know in the comments if there's any other specific episodes of Visions Volume 3 you'd like to see me cover. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.